My name is Claire, and this story isn't for those who like happy endings. It's about what happens when desire speaks louder than reason, and when the body remembers what the mind pretended to forget. I was 52 years old when he walked into my kitchen. Widowed for just over 2 years, the house had become too quiet. The voices faded with time, and the sounds of daily life, the clinking of dishes, the hum of the refrigerator, the creak of old wood under my bare feet, became my only companions. Life was predictable, practical, controlled, until my daughter Emily decided to introduce me to her new boyfriend. "You'll like him, Mom. He's kind, respectful, and pretty good-looking," she said with a smile that hinted she knew more than she let on. His name was Jason, 28 years old, tall, dark blonde with a body sculpted like it was handcrafted, broad shoulders, big hands, and a smile that suggested he knew exactly what to do with them. When he walked into the living room, the air seemed to shift. He had a woody cologne that mingled with the aroma of dinner. He pretended to look at my daughter, but I noticed. His gaze slid past her and landed on me, and it sent shivers through me in a way I wasn't prepared for. We had dinner together that night. Laughter, light conversation. Emily talked with excitement, and Jason listened. But every now and then, his eyes met mine. Long seconds. Restrained smiles. Looks that shouldn't exist between me and my daughter's boyfriend. I stayed quiet, but inside, something was stirring. The touch of my hands on the dishes felt more intense. The sound of water running between my fingers reminded me of sensations I'd been trying to suppress for years. I felt alive and guilty for it. When I finished washing the dishes, Emily approached with a strange look. "Mom, Jason's feeling a bit awkward about sleeping here." I feigned surprise. But my heart was already pounding, as if it knew that night wouldn't end the way it should. "First time in a new house, honey. It's normal," I replied, trying to sound calm. But I'd seen too much. Felt too much. The way he looked when I bent over. The attentive silence when I spoke. As if every word I said was a secret being unveiled. Later, in my pajamas, I sensed his presence before I even saw him. He was standing at my bedroom door, with a half smile on his lips and eyes gleaming with a light that didn't come from the hallway lamp. "You okay?" he asked. I should have said yes. Should have told him to go back. But everything in me screamed the opposite. "I'm fine. Just a little restless," I admitted. He took a step, then another. And what separated us was now less than what drew us together. "You know what you're doing to me, don't you?" His breath was already on my skin. My legs trembled. But not from fear. From anticipation. I could say it was wrong, but nothing that night felt wrong. I wondered if Emily was already asleep, if she'd hear my footsteps through the house. But then I remembered the kitchen, the sink, the counter, and the hunger growing inside me. It wasn't for food. It was for something juicier, more dangerous, something that reminded me that, beneath the pain, the routine, the age, there was still a starving woman. I don't know how my feet carried me to the kitchen that night. Maybe it was the excuse of hunger, or maybe hunger was just a disguise for what I really wanted to satisfy. The house was draped in thick silence. The full moon streamed through the window, casting soft shapes on the wooden floor. The pale light touched the sink, the counter, and glinted off a half-empty bottle of wine. I was barefoot, wearing a simple nightgown. Nothing sexy, nothing intentional. But the light fabric subtly outlined my breasts. I felt the air brush my nipples through the material, hardening them without warning. When I heard soft footsteps approaching, my heart raced. It was Jason. "Couldn't sleep," he said, his voice low, husky, as if carrying something he was trying to hold back. "Me neither," I replied, without turning around. I felt him stop behind me. The distance between us was small, until it was nothing. The heat of his body radiated against my back. The scent of his cologne, now stronger, enveloped me. "Have you always been like this?" he whispered. "Like what?" "So, irresistibly tempting. I closed my eyes. I felt his hand lightly brush my hip, the tips of his fingers, cautious, curious, then firm. "Jason," I murmured, but my voice lacked conviction. "Tell me to stop," he said. "Just say stop, and I will." But I didn't. Instead, I turned around. I met those burning, hungry eyes. His found mine. And in that second, there was no Emily, no right or wrong, just the two of us, there, in that kitchen. When our lips touched, it was like something exploded inside me. The kiss was ravenous, wet, urgent. My hand slid under his shirt, feeling the taut muscles, the warmth of his skin. He lifted me by the waist and set me on the counter, between the sink and the cabinet. Our bodies pressed together like pieces made to fit. His hands were confident, knowing where to grip, where to tease. His fingers slipped between my thighs, and I found myself arching my back, moaning softly, as if my senses had been reactivated after years of dormancy. He knelt in front of me and parted the fabric of my nightgown with the reverence of someone unwrapping an ancient, precious gift. When his mouth touched me, I couldn't hold back the moan that escaped. "Oh, God." His tongue was warm, precise. His lips explored with the devotion of a man in worship. I clung to the counter, the edges, anything to keep me grounded while he made me float. Every movement was a confession, every lick a promise. "You taste like sin," he said between pauses, and dove back in. When I felt the first wave of pleasure explode inside me, I screamed his name silently, biting my lips to keep from waking the house. My whole body shook, my skin sweaty, my hair disheveled. I thought it was over. But he stood up and dropped his pants, revealing himself fully. And there it was, the eggplant. But now no euphemisms. Big, thick, throbbing. He held me firmly, and his eyes asked even without words. "I want you," I said. "Now." He turned me around, bent me over the counter, and entered slowly. The sensation was so intense I nearly collapsed. Each thrust was firm, deep, rhythmic. I moaned softly, gasping, feeling my entire body respond. My hands searched for something to hold. The cold marble, the dish towel, the air, anything. The sound of our bodies meeting filled the kitchen, muffled by distance but as primal as instinct. He pulled my hair with one hand, guiding my neck back, making me look up as he filled me completely. "You're unbelievable," he whispered between thrusts. "Don't stop," I begged. "Give me everything." When I came the second time, my legs gave out. He held me steady and kept going until, with a muffled grunt, he spilled inside me with force, as if claiming a territory that was already his from the first glance. We stayed there, panting, pressed together, sweaty. "This shouldn't have happened," I murmured, still too weak to move. "But it did," he replied, "and it was the best thing that could have happened." He kissed me again, softer, as if saying, "I'll be back," without needing words. The sound of the stairs made my heart race. "Emily." We scrambled. I fixed my nightgown. He pulled up his pants with military speed. "Go to your room," I whispered. He obeyed, silent, and vanished into the darkness, like a well-kept secret. I thought after that night I could forget, that a good night's sleep would bury what happened in the kitchen. But the problem is, my body doesn't forget. It holds on. It demands. And the memory of Jason inside me lingered like an echo, a constant whisper between my legs, a dull heat that wouldn't fade. The next morning, the sun poured through the window with a vengeance. I looked at the sheets, still marked by my trembling legs from the night before, and everything in me ached in the best way possible. Jason and Emily came down for breakfast as if nothing had happened. She smiled, talking about something on her phone. He pretended to listen, but every now and then, his eyes pierced me over his coffee cup, like a bolt of lightning. It was as if we were alone, even with her between us. When they left at the end of the day, I felt relief mixed with loss. A strange silence filled the house, and my hunger, that hunger, returned as if it had never been satisfied. In the days that followed, I tried to distract myself. I cleaned the house, spent more time in the garden, read old romance novels. But every character now had his face. Every scene felt like a version of what happened between us. On Wednesday night, alone again, I went to the kitchen. I opened the fridge, closed it. I didn't even remember what I wanted. I just knew I was wet, hungry. And then, as if guided by some invisible instinct, he came back. Jason showed up at the gate, said he forgot a book. I knew it was a lie, and I let him in anyway. He was wearing a tight gray shirt and jeans that hugged his body indecently. "You shouldn't be here," I said, even as I opened the door. "Don't you want me here?" he countered, his eyes locked on mine. I closed the door behind me. The kitchen welcomed us like a silent accomplice. "No excuses this time," he said, stepping closer slowly. "I didn't come for a book. I came to have you again." His words hit me like a slap. Not of pain, but of raw reality. And I didn't want fantasies anymore. I wanted him. Real. Inside me. Again. He backed me against the kitchen wall. No preamble, no hesitation. He kissed my neck, my shoulder, while his hands roamed with hunger. I spread my legs without thinking. He already knew the way. His hand found my warmth, wet and ready, as if he'd been there yesterday. "Always so ready," he whispered, his fingers sliding with ease. "I dreamed of this," I confessed between soft moans. "Of you inside me again." "Then wake up, Claire, because this is real." He knelt again, but now, with more intensity. No more shyness, no hesitation. His tongue dove into me as if he wanted to suck my soul. I clung to the edges of the wall, feeling the waves of pleasure build, growing, until I exploded in his mouth with a moan muffled by the palm of my hand. Before I could catch my breath, he stood, turned me around, and pulled my panties down to my ankles. "Stay like that," he said. "Open for me." I braced myself on the counter, my skin prickling. The cool kitchen air hit between my spread legs as he entered me with force. "More," I begged. "Fuck me like the first time." "Better than the first time," he corrected. His movements were precise, animalistic. Yet there was poetry in how our bodies fit, as if he knew exactly where he ended and I began. "You're a garden," he said between thrusts, "and I want to explore every corner, every flower, every root." "Then go deeper," I urged. "Plant everything in me." He gripped my waist, and with delicious strength, filled me as far as he could. The sensation was of being torn and filled at once, a pleasure that bordered on pain, but the kind that addicts. He lifted me, turned me to face him, and sat me on the sink, spreading my legs again. "Let me see your flower again," he said, staring at my exposed intimacy. "You're beautiful." When he entered again, our bodies were sweaty, pressed together, and the sound of flesh against flesh echoed through the kitchen like profane music. "Want me to come inside or out?" he asked, his eyes locked on mine. "Inside," I answered, digging my nails into his shoulders. "I want to feel you dripping out of me after." And when he came, with a deep, full groan, I felt the hot pulse filling me. We stayed like that for a few seconds, breathing like two survivors. "Jason, don't say anything now. Just feel." And I felt everything. His release dripping down my thighs, his breath still ragged, my heart pounding in my chest like it wanted to escape. Later, after he left through the back door, I kept the lights off and sat in a kitchen chair with a glass of water in my hand. The cold liquid slid down my throat, but my body still burned. It was wrong, but my body didn't care, and deep down, neither did my soul. The next night, I left the door unlocked. No more excuses, no more shame, just the certainty that he'd come back. And he did. He didn't say a word when he walked in. Jason came straight to me, as if he knew exactly where to find me. I was in the bedroom, sitting on the edge of the bed, wearing only a black silk nightgown that slid over my body like fresh ink. He looked at me for a second, eyes hungry, determined, and then knelt between my legs. "I want all of you tonight. Every last breath," he said. I spread my legs without answering, just with my eyes. His tongue dove into me again, but this time with slow care, as if savoring every second. Each movement was calculated, deep, exploratory. I moaned more freely now. I didn't want to hold anything back. He licked like he adored, sucked like he worshipped, and made me come like he wanted to drive me insane. When I recovered, he stood, took off his shirt, and I knelt before him. I kissed his abs, ran my tongue along the contours of his muscles, until I found what I craved so much. The eggplant. Real. Hot. Pulsing. "It's yours now," he said. I wrapped my lips around it, with devotion. His hands gripped my hair firmly, guiding the rhythm, but letting me take control. I tasted him, felt the power it gave me. He groaned loudly, saying my name between whispers and grunts. When he was about to come, he pulled my face back and kissed me, his mouth still full of desire. "Not yet. I want to feel you again. All of you." He threw me onto the bed with force and spread my legs. When he entered, it was with everything. "Show me everything you've kept locked away for years," he said. "Show me how alive you still are." And I did. I screamed, moaned, trembled. I arched my back, scratched his. He turned me on my side, then face down, and finally on all fours, and each new position was a new wave of pleasure. He fucked me with animalistic intensity, but never lost control. He knew exactly what he was doing. "Deeper," I begged. "Can you handle it?" "I need it." He gripped my waist tightly and thrust hard. The sensation was unreal. I felt him hit the deepest part of me, and I cried with pleasure, with lust, with something that mixed freedom with madness. "You're my feast," he whispered in my ear, "and I'm going to eat until there's nothing left." I shook, and when I came for the third time, I thought my body would shut down. But he kept going. He grabbed a piece of ice from the glass by the bed, ran it over my breasts, my stomach, and then slid it between my legs. "I need more," he said, and entered me again, now with torturous slowness. "Fill me," I pleaded. "I want to feel you dripping for hours." And he came again inside me. But we didn't leave the bed. We stayed there, pressed together, sweaty, exhausted. The sheets soaked, skin red, eyes teary. "Claire, what we have, it doesn't need a name," I interrupted. "It just needs to exist." We slept side by side for a few hours, and when I woke up, he was already dressed, standing at the door. "I have to go before Emily suspects." "I know." He came closer, kissed my forehead. "But if you want me again, you know where to find me." And with that, Jason disappeared for the last time that week. But he didn't leave me. He stayed in the scent on the sheets, in the taste on my lips, in the emptiness only he knew how to fill. I didn't tell anyone, not my best friend, not the mirror. Only now, writing this, do I realize it wasn't just a moment of weakness. It was a moment of truth. I was a woman again, not a mother, not a widow, a woman. Hungry, with desire, with a need to be touched, felt, devoured. And Jason served that to me on a golden platter. The nights that followed were long, not from loneliness, but from memory. I slept feeling him still inside me. My skin still burned where his hands had marked me. And sometimes, I woke up wet in the middle of the night, the sheets soaked, my body craving something only he knew how to give. On Friday, Emily came back. She brought groceries, a dessert, and that innocent sparkle in her eyes. Jason didn't come. She hugged me, asked how I was, said she missed me. I smiled and thanked her. But inside, my entire body screamed, "I'm still hungry." That night, after she fell asleep, I went to the kitchen again. It was automatic. The cold floor under my feet, the hum of the fridge, the beam of moonlight cutting through the window. And then, like a seventh sense, I knew. The back door opened. Jason walked in. Without a word, he gently pushed me against the wall, kissed me like he didn't have time, like he'd come to keep a promise. My nightgown hit the floor in seconds. He lifted me into his arms with ease and set me on the table. "Last time before we go," he said, his breath heavy. "I want it to be unforgettable. Leave me marked." And he did. He fucked me with force, with hunger, with soul. His hands pulled my hair, his thighs slapped against mine with loud smacks. I spread my legs wider than I ever had. "I'm yours now. Only yours," I murmured. He moaned my name. We switched positions like two animals. On the sink, in the kitchen chair, standing against the fridge. And in every corner of the house, we left a trace. Sweat. A moan. A drop of cum. "Claire, can I come inside again?" "Don't ask. Fill me." And he did. Hard. Long. Inside. When he pulled away, my body trembled. The mix of our fluids dripped between my legs, down my thighs, glistening under the kitchen light. I smiled. I was satisfied. For now. He helped me clean up, kissed my forehead. "I haven't forgotten you," he said. "I'll never forget you." And so, we each went to our rooms, like strangers, but with our bodies marked by each other. The next day, Emily woke up early. Jason was already showered, dressed, smiling. She didn't notice, or maybe she chose not to see. When they left, I was alone again, but this time, it wasn't sadness that filled me. It was fullness. I sat on the couch with a glass of wine and let the silence of the house embrace me. I thought about how much I'd judged myself for so long. Widow. Lonely. Mother. As if those words defined me completely. But the truth is, I'm all of those things. And I'm also the woman who swallowed the eggplant of a man nearly 20 years younger. On her knees, in the kitchen, with a mouth full of pleasure and no regrets. The woman who asked for more, who moaned loudly, who felt every drop drip between her legs and spread her thighs for more. A woman alive. A woman hungry. And now, satisfied. For the first time, I'm not writing this to justify myself. I'm writing to remember. So that one day, when the house is even quieter, and the sheets no longer smell of a man, I can reread every line and remember what it was like to be alive. Truly, I hope you read this to the end. I hope you felt my warmth, my skin, my breath. I hope you understood that hunger isn't always about food. Sometimes it's about touch, about tongue, about a look. And when you're hungry, I hope you have the courage to do what I did. And if you don't, well, I did it for you. With desire, Claire, the Queen. Until the next story.